Thank you very much, Principal. And I'm sure that as Principal was welcoming you, he demonstrated the point I made at the beginning. He's very hands-on with regard to the research that is happening on his campus, as he could walk you through some of the things that are going to be on display. Principal already referred to a number of very important things that you are going to see in our display, which shows that over the years, UWI, which has done traditional research, when some of us were young, most of the research was in labs, etc. Principal has mentioned words like poverty, climate change, continuity. Hence, the theme of UWI, of the research day this year, or days, they all roll into one, so forgive me if the 3 days becomes 1 day. Believe me, for those of us, there are no nights. So we start on Tuesday evening and go straight through to Friday evening. But it's about development through partnerships, and Principal mentioned some of the key partnerships in his welcome. You will see more partnerships in the days that we are on display. But it's about research to result that has demonstrated in new products. We have some teasers here today because some of you who were here with us, was it 3 years ago or 4, Dr. Thompson, when we launched cassava? Then you heard that we had a factory somewhere in OA. Today you see the bread ready for marketing. So one of the things that you will see, which highlights Mona's role in providing solutions to the problems of yesterday. Principal mentioned climate change. You will be able to see, and we have both Professor Taylor and Dr. Stevenson, who lead a group of, I don't know how many are in the group now. I know that at last count it was 18, but lead this very committed group in the issue of climate change. UWI is particularly proud of the fact that while we recognize the considerable work of Professor Taylor, we always recognize history and recognize that we do have Professor Chen and his early work, for which he did get a Nobel Prize. So it also speaks, Mr. Mitchell, to the continuity. So even with newness, we recognize that there are things that have to be continued to look at because of the change. So to give you a snapshot of the 3 days, we have our signature events. Principal made mention of the SUCOB lecture. What he didn't tell you, he's going to do it. Hence the controversies and the interesting ways. Professor MacDonald has a long history at this university, going way back into the 70s, and we will hear about that journey. A journey that's taken him from being a med student to being the principal. We also have our flagship exhibition, which is referred to as our research village. This year, in recognition of the universities adopting the One UWI concept for its new strategic plan, we have embraced it, and therefore we will have regional participation where they are One UWI. And if you need an explanation of that, it means that Mona's a key player. And therefore, some of our research institutes which have other arms on other campuses will join with us this year. It's a comprehensive program of all faculties, and we are, I was going to say 5, and I now need to say 6, as we embrace the new Faculty of Sports. So there are workshops, book launches, seminars, panel discussions, faculty-based displays. We'll have drones flying around, we'll have robots flying around, as well as have things such as our exhibit over here, things that we need every day, like soap, and how our natural products can be used in those things. We have a number of publications, as we have had in previous years. However, the 2017 publication, Research for Development, is special. It's going to highlight UWI at 70, and we have really reached out to the second part of that development. And whereas we will profile our new professors, some key researchers, not all, we can't put all in the book, we have quite a few. We will also have in the book some of the projects that have concentrated on development of Jamaica and development of UWI. We have worked very closely with the registrar and the UWI 70 team here to identify some of those. So we have Professor Boxhill and the film project, but we also have the water project. We have this building. Those of us who know Professor MacDonald know what we went through to have this building, which has things on the top so that it's cool and all of that. There's also a smart building on the campus. So the publication will highlight that we are much more than simply books and academia, which remain our foundation. We recognize our outstanding researchers. The village is going to be in 6 sections. As usual, Lisa, who we all call her Lisa, Miss Ogilvie, gets creative every year. I gather we're going upstairs at parts of this year. But we have, again, because of partnerships, we're going to be in sections rather than faculties. Energy is much more than climate change or whatnot. It's also the economics, etc. So you will find it in 6 sections. So there's something in the village for everybody. We do have law, governance, and society. So as Principal said, we will touch on crime, some of the issues around crime. And one of the ones that has been the mainstay of our work and also of our commercialization principle, the issues around the nutraceuticals, the health and well-being. We have our traditional policy wall that we started 5 years ago. You know, I know people are going to say that this was intentional. When we started the policy wall, I took a decision that FMS was to be last, that my own faculty would be last, so I could not be accused of favoritism. We are featuring FMS in the 70th year of UWI, and FMS was the starting faculty. And therefore, it's very appropriate that we are looking at the FMS-related contributions to policy. We will also have one UE showcasing the collaborative research projects from regional campuses and our own campuses, such as the Bahamas. We have returned. We had this 4 years ago, but we really think that our postgrad students are our foundation of future research. We need to reassure the private sector and our partners that when those of us who are on the verge of exiting the university exit, we will be leaving the research in good hands. And therefore, we have our postgraduate wall of excellence. Because it's one UE, we have the research centers that I mentioned. We will have research facilitators if you want to speak to somebody. If somebody goes through who needs more information, we have a system in place. We actually have a room this year that we can have meetings at. We have a reading room. We welcome both public and private sector, some of which are exhibitors. I want to mention the PIOJ, which has become our partner, joining us Principal for the 3rd year in a row. And we will also have exhibits from research to production. Come and join us on the campus from February the 7th to February the 9th and start as we explore tomorrow's solutions. And for those of you who will be joining us for the first time, let us start that partnership with you as we move through into the next, I was going to say millennium, but we're not there yet. So the next... as the next 70 years, and as we look next year to celebrate Research Day 20. Thank you.